Ladies, let me tell you something, and I need you to sit down for this one. Because if a man has been going quiet on you, disappearing for days, leaving you all read, ghosting you in the middle of what felt like something real, and you've been sitting there wondering if he's lost interest, wondering if he's found somebody else, wondering if you did something wrong, wondering if you were too much, too soon, too deep, too emotional, I need you to hear me clearly today. That silence is not always what you think it is. That distance is not always rejection. That pulling away is not always him losing feelings. Sometimes, sister, and this is the part nobody wants to tell you, sometimes a man goes quiet because he loves you too much. Sometimes a man pulls back because what he feels for you scared him in a way he was not prepared for. Sometimes a man disappears not because you mean nothing to him, but because you mean everything, and he doesn't yet know what to do with a woman who makes him feel that much. Now, before you roll your eyes at me, before you say, Steve, that sounds like an excuse men use, hear me out, because I am not here to make excuses for any man. I am not here to soothe you with fairy tales. I have spent decades watching how men move, decades listening to how men talk when women are not in the room, decades sitting across from women just like you, with tears in their eyes, asking the same painful question. Why did he pull away when everything was going so well? And today, baby, today I am going to answer that question. I am going to break down what is really happening inside his mind when he loves you so much it makes him retreat. I am going to show you the difference between a man who is avoiding you because he doesn't care and a man who is avoiding you because he cares too much. I am going to give you the signs, the psychology, the power moves, and the mindset shift that changes everything. By the time we finish this conversation, you are going to walk away with clarity. You are going to walk away with your power back in your hands. And you are going to walk away knowing exactly what to do the next time a man who loves you goes silent. Because, sister, how you respond in that silence is going to determine whether you lose him forever or whether you become the woman he never lets go of. So pour yourself a cup of coffee, sit down at the kitchen table with me, and let me break this down for you the way only somebody who loves you would. See, here's what men are wired to do. And this is something most women were never taught. Men are not taught to sit with big feelings. Men are not taught to name what they feel. Men are not taught to talk about the storm going on inside their chest. From the time a little boy scrapes his knee on the playground and his daddy tells him to stop crying and be a man, that boy learns one thing. He learns that feelings are dangerous. He learns that emotions are weakness. He learns that if he cannot control what he feels, he must at least control who sees it. And so that little boy grows up. He becomes a teenager who bottles it up. He becomes a young man who buries it. He becomes a grown man who does not have the vocabulary, does not have the tools, does not have the practice of letting somebody sit close to the tender part of him. And then one day, he meets you. He meets you, and something cracks open in him he was not expecting. He meets you, and for the first time in years, maybe for the first time ever, he feels seen. He feels safe. He feels something so warm and so unfamiliar that his whole system starts firing off warning signals. Because to him, feeling that much means being vulnerable, and being vulnerable means being weak, and being weak means being hurt. And he swore a long time ago he was never going to be hurt again. So what does he do? He does not lean in. He pulls back. He does not talk to you about it. He goes silent. He does not tell you, baby, I am overwhelmed. I need a minute. He just disappears. And you, sitting on the other side of that silence, you are left thinking that you did something wrong. Sister, you did not do anything wrong. You did something so right that his whole nervous system doesn't know what to do with it. And that is the part nobody explains to you. Now let me be very clear before I go one word further. I am not telling you this so you can excuse every man who ghosts you. I am not telling you this so you can sit there for 6 weeks waiting on a man to figure out his feelings. I am not telling you this so you can lower your standards or wait around like some kind of emotional janitor for a grown man to clean up his own mess. No, baby, that is not what this is. What this is a map. What this is a way of understanding so that when you are in that moment, when the phone has gone quiet, when the texts have slowed down, when the man who was calling you every night suddenly is nowhere to be found, you can look at that situation with clear eyes. You can tell the difference between a man who is done with you and a man who is scared of how much he wants you. And once you can tell the difference, sister, you can respond with power instead of panic. You can respond with dignity instead of desperation. You can respond like a woman who knows exactly who she is. So let's break down what is really happening inside his mind. Let's go past the surface. Let's get into the deep water. The first thing you have to understand is this. When a man falls hard, and I mean truly hard, not the little butterflies from a first date, not the crush from a fun weekend, but the deep gut punch, this woman could change my life kind of feeling. His first instinct is not to run toward her. His first instinct is to run inward. He goes quiet. He goes still. He goes into what I call the man cave of the soul. And in that man cave, he is not thinking about somebody else. He is not out there in the streets. He is not shopping for a replacement. He is sitting in the dark with his own thoughts, wrestling with a question he does not want to ask himself out loud. And that question is this: am I ready to be the man this woman deserves? You hear me on that? He is not asking if he wants you. He already knows he wants you. That is not the question. The question keeping him up at night is whether he is enough, whether he can show up the way you deserve, whether he can be the kind of man that a woman like you can lean on without regretting it later. And baby, that question is heavy. That question is not something a man can answer in a text message. That question is not something a man can figure out on a Tuesday afternoon. That question takes time. And time, for him, looks like silence. Time for him looks like distance. Time for him looks like the very thing that is breaking your heart on the other end of that phone. Now here is where it gets tricky. Because you as a woman, when you feel something deeply, you want to talk about it. You want to process it out loud. You want to sit down with your girlfriends or with your mama or with your therapist and pull the feeling apart until you understand it. That is how you were built. That is how most women are built. You talk your way to clarity. But he does not do that. He cannot do that. He does not have the girlfriends who sit around asking him how he feels. He does not have the practice of saying the tender thing out loud. He has one tool, and that tool is retreat. He goes off by himself and he thinks. He works out. He drives around at midnight with the radio off. He sits in his car in the driveway for 20 minutes before he goes inside, just trying to make sense of what is going on in his chest. And while he is doing that, you are on the other end thinking he doesn't care. You are thinking he has moved on. You are thinking that maybe he never really felt anything at all. And that misunderstanding, sister, that misunderstanding right there is what breaks up more good relationships than any argument, any cheating, any drama you can name. Because the woman starts to panic. She starts to text more. She starts to ask what's wrong. She starts to want reassurance, and every text she sends, every phone call she makes, every "we need to talk" message she types out at 2 a.m, all of it makes his cave feel smaller. All of it makes him feel more pressure. All of it makes him retreat further, not because he doesn't love her, but because he does not know how to handle the intensity of what he feels when she is close. And that is when women lose men who actually love them. Not because the love wasn't real, but because nobody ever taught either of them how to survive the season when the love got too big. Let me tell you about a woman I know. Let's call her Maya. Maya was 34 years old, beautiful, sharp, had her own money, had her own house, had her own everything. She met a man named Andre at a wedding of a mutual friend. And from the first conversation, they clicked. I mean, the kind of clicking where two people are talking and everybody else in the room disappears. That kind. For 3 months, it was magic. He called her every night. He sent her flowers to her office. He drove an hour just to bring her soup when she had a cold. He looked her in the eye at dinner and told her, "Maya, I have not felt this way about anybody in a very long time." She believed him, and she should have, because he meant every word. And then on a random Thursday, the text got shorter. On a Sunday, he did not call. By the next week, she was going 48 hours without hearing a word. She sent a message. He replied late, short, distracted. She asked if everything was okay. He said, "Yeah, just been busy." Maya did what most of us would do. She panicked. She spent 3 days replaying every conversation. She combed through every text looking for what she said wrong. She called her girlfriends and asked them to look at his last message and tell her what he meant. She started to feel like she was going crazy. And after 2 weeks of the slow fade, she sent him a long message. You know the one, sister. The message where you pour your whole heart out. The message that starts with, "I don't know if I should be sending this," but the message where you tell him all your fears, all your feelings, all your confusion. And do you know what he did? He didn't respond for 3 days. And when he did, he said, "I think I just need some space right now." Maya was crushed. She thought she had lost him forever. She thought she had been played. She thought she had misread the whole thing. But here is what she did not know. Here's what he could not tell her because he did not have the words. Andre had been married before. Andre had been left before. Andre had watched his own father walk out on his mother when he was 12 years old, and he had sworn to himself that if he ever loved the woman that much again, he was going to be a better man than his daddy was. And when he met Maya, when he felt the ground shift under his feet, when he realized that this was the woman he could see himself building a life with, he panicked. Not because of her, because of him, because he was terrified of failing her. So he retreated. He went into that man cave to figure out if he was ready. And the harder Maya pulled on him, the deeper into the cave he went. Not because he did not love her, but because every message from her felt like more proof that he had somebody real to lose. And a man who has somebody real to lose is a man who is scared out of his mind. Now, I'm going to tell you what Maya learned, and I'm going to tell you how the story ends. But first, I need you to hear this. I need you to write it on your heart, because this is the truth that changes everything. A man who does not care does not disappear. A man who does not care sticks around casually, keeps you on the shelf, keeps the situationship going because it costs him nothing. It is the man who cares deeply, the man whose heart is on the line, the man who is looking at you and seeing forever. It is that man who sometimes vanishes when it gets real, because he does not disappear from you. He disappears from the pressure of not knowing if he can be the man you need him to be. And I know, baby, I know that is hard to hear. I know you are thinking, well, if he loved me, he would just tell me. I hear you. I understand you. And in a perfect world, that is exactly what would happen. In a perfect world, every man would have the emotional vocabulary, the tools, the courage to sit you down and say, "Baby, I love you so much it scares me, and I need a minute." In a perfect world. But we do not live in a perfect world. We live in a world that taught our men to swallow their feelings and figure it out alone. We live in a world where boys were shamed for crying and men were praised for being stoic. We live in a world where the emotional education of half our population was neglected, and now we are all paying the price. So what do? Do you just sit there and accept a man's silence forever? No, baby, absolutely not. That is not what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is that the way you respond in that silence is going to determine the entire future of the relationship. And most women, God bless them, most women do exactly the wrong thing. Let me break down what is really happening inside his mind during that silent period, because I want you to see it from his side of the glass for just a minute. Not so you can excuse him, but so you can understand him. Because understanding is power, and power is what you need right now. When a man is in the cave, in that place of retreat, his brain is doing three things all at once. Number one, it is trying to figure out if the intensity of the feeling is manageable. Number two, it is trying to figure out if he can be the provider, protector, and partner you deserve. And number three, it is trying to figure out what it will cost him to say yes to something this real. And that third one, sister, that is the one nobody talks about. Because to a man, love is not just a feeling. Love is a commitment. Love is standing in front of everybody he knows and saying, "This is my woman, and I am responsible for her happiness." Love is looking at his life and knowing that certain doors are going to close if he walks through this one. Love is saying goodbye to the version of himself he was before you. And all of that is heavy. All of that takes time. All of that requires him to have a conversation with himself in the dark that he cannot have with you until he has finished having it with himself first. Now, here is the beautiful part. Here is the part that gives me hope for every woman listening to my voice. Because if you can learn to recognize this season for what it is, if you can learn to not take it personally, if you can learn to hold your own center while he is in his cave, sister, you become irresistible. You become the one woman he cannot forget. You become the safest place he has ever landed. But if you panic, if you chase, if you flood his phone with texts, if you show up at his job, if you send a long paragraph at 2 a.m, if you make his silence into your emergency, you become the very thing he was afraid of. You become the pressure he cannot handle, and he will pull further away, not because he does not love you, but because loving you now feels like drowning. You feel me on that? I need you to sit with that for a second, because this is the fork in the road for so many good relationships, and nobody, and I mean nobody, ever taught us how to walk through it. So let me teach you now. Let me give you the 6 truths you need to carry with you the next time a man you love goes quiet. And I want you to memorize these. I want you to save these. I want you to come back to these the next time your heart is racing and your finger is hovering over that send button at midnight. The first truth is this: his silence is not always about you. Say it out loud with me, sister. His silence is not always about you. Because we, as women, we are wired to make things personal. We are wired to think, what did I do? What did I say? What could I have done differently? It is a beautiful thing in a way. It is a sign of how much you care, but it is also a trap, because sometimes his silence has nothing to do with you at all. Sometimes he lost a client at work. Sometimes his mama is sick. Sometimes he is dealing with a childhood wound he never told you about. Sometimes he is scared of how much he wants you, and he does not know how to say it. The point is, you do not always know. And when you do not know, the worst thing you can do is fill in the blank with the story that hurts you the most. Because your brain will do that, baby. Your brain will do that automatically. It will take his silence and it will write a whole novel in your head about how he never loved you, how he is with somebody else, how you were just a temporary distraction. And none of that novel is based on a single fact. It is all based on your fear. So the first move in a season of silence is this: stop writing the novel. Stop giving your brain permission to make up stories. When you catch yourself doing it, and you will, because we all do it, gently say to yourself, I do not know why he is quiet, and until I know, I am not going to hurt myself with a story I made up. That is a discipline, sister. That is a spiritual discipline, and it is going to save you a lot of tears. The second truth is this: a man who loves you will come back every single time. If a man loves you, he will come back. Now, hear me carefully on this, because I know some of you are going to hear that wrong. I am not saying wait forever. I am not saying accept crumbs. I am not saying build your life around a man who cannot commit. What I am saying is this: real love always comes back to itself. Real love is not gone forever after a week of silence. Real love breathes, and then it returns. So when a man who loves you goes into his cave, and I know this is hard, but you have to trust the truth of what you built together. If it was real, he is coming back, and your job is not to drag him out. Your job is not to break down the door of his cave. Your job is to stand in your own light, live your own life, tend to your own soul, and let him come home to you when he has finished the work he needs to do inside himself. And I know that is not what you want to hear. I know you want to fix it. I know you want to reach across the distance and pull him back. But baby, some things you cannot fix. Some things only a man can fix for himself. And the greatest gift you can give him, and the greatest gift you can give yourself, is the space for him to do that work. The third truth is this: his retreat is often a compliment, not an insult. Now, I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds like Steve is trying to sell you something, but hear me out. Because a man does not retreat from a woman who does not matter. A man does not go into the cave over somebody he could take or leave. A man goes into the cave when the stakes are high, and the stakes are only high when the feeling is real. So the next time he goes quiet, before you decide he doesn't care, ask yourself this question: would a man who did not care be this shaken? Would a man who wasn't feeling something real be pulling back this hard? Or is it possible that his retreat is actually evidence of how deep this is for him? Now, I want to be careful here, because I do not want you to use this as an excuse for every man who mistreats you. There is a difference between a good man wrestling with his feelings and a bad man playing games with your heart. And I'm going to teach you how to tell the difference in just a minute. But for now, understand that sometimes, and more often than you think, his pulling back is not rejection, it is reverence. The fourth truth is this: you have to keep living your life. And I mean that. I do not mean go through the motions. I do not mean pretend to be busy. I mean actually live. Actually invest in yourself. Actually go to the gym. Actually see your girlfriends. Actually pour into your career. Actually cook the meal for one and light the candle and pour the wine and sit at your own table like a queen. Because here is what happens when you keep living your life. Number one, you stop being consumed by his silence. Your life becomes bigger than his absence. Number two, you grow. You become more of yourself. And when he comes back, and he will come back, he is going to find a woman who is more magnetic than the one he left. Number three, and this is the biggest one, you protect your own dignity. Because a woman who stops her whole life to wait on a man loses something inside of her that is hard to get back. And I do not want that for you, not for one day. So while he is in his cave, you go to yours, not to sulk, not to hide, but to build. Build your body, build your money, build your friendships, build your soul, build the woman you have always wanted to be. Because that woman right there, that is the woman a man cannot walk away from. And even if he never comes back, and I am telling you the whole truth today, even if he never comes back, you will have built a life that does not need him to make it beautiful. The fifth truth is this: Do not chase. I am going to say it again for the sisters in the back. Do not chase. Do not send the 12-paragraph text. Do not call him 17 times. Do not show up at his house. Do not have your girlfriend call him and pretend to be somebody else. Do not send a screenshot of the conversation from 3 months ago to remind him what he said. Do not do any of that. Because here is what chasing does. Chasing tells him that his silence has power over you. Chasing tells him that you cannot hold yourself together without him. Chasing tells him without a single word being spoken that you are willing to lower your standards to be with him. And a man, whether he says this out loud or not, a man loses respect for a woman he thinks is willing to grovel. Now, I am not saying be cold. I am not saying play games. I am not saying play games. I am not saying pretend you do not care. What I am saying is this. Reach out once, with warmth, with dignity, letting him know you are there. And then step back. Let him miss you. Let him feel the shape of the space you leave behind. Let him wonder what you are doing. Let him realize that his silence has not shaken you into a puddle. Let him come to the realization on his own that he does not want a life without you in it. That, sister, is the power move. Not chasing, not clinging, not begging. Just being, just standing in your own light and letting him find his way back to it. The sixth truth is this. Know the difference. Know the difference between a man who loves you and is scared and a man who does not love you and is stringing you along. Because both of these men can look the same on the surface. Both of them can go quiet. Both of them can pull away. But underneath, they are two completely different animals. And you have to learn how to tell them apart. Here is how you tell. A man who loves you and is scared, when he does come back, he shows up in a real way. He looks you in the eye. He tells you the truth, even if he cannot tell you all of it. He apologizes for the silence. He does not gaslight you. He does not act like the last 3 weeks did not happen. He shows up with intention. He shows up ready to do the work. A man who does not love you and is stringing you along, when he comes back, he acts like nothing happened. He does not explain. He does not apologize. He picks up right where he left off, hoping you are too grateful for his return to ask any questions. He gives you just enough to keep you on the hook, and then he disappears again. And this pattern repeats itself week after week, month after month, until you look up one day and realize you have wasted a year of your life on a man who was never going to choose you. So watch how he returns. That is where the answer lives. That is where the difference reveals itself. Because a scared man who loves you will fight through the fear to be with you. A man who does not love you will not. Now let me get back to Maya, because I promised you I would finish that story. And Maya's story, sister, is a story I want you to carry with you. Because Maya could have blown it. Maya was one text away from destroying the whole thing. But something in her, something wise, something old, something her grandmother taught her a long time ago, something in her said, wait, just wait. She did not send the follow-up text. She did not call his phone. She did not go to his job. She did what I just told you to do. She kept living her life. She went to the gym. She had lunch with her girlfriends. She threw herself into a work project. She cried some nights, yes. She wondered some nights, yes. But she did not chase. And do you know what happened? 3 weeks. 3 long weeks. And then on a Sunday afternoon, her phone rang. And it was Andre. And his voice was different. His voice was tired, but honest. His voice was the voice of a man who had been through something. He asked her if she could meet him for coffee. She said yes. She did not act cold. She did not punish him. She just showed up as herself, dressed like a woman who knows her worth, with a soft smile and clear eyes. And when they sat down, He did something a lot of men never do. He told her the truth. He told her about his marriage. He told her about his daddy. He told her about the fear he had been carrying since he was 12 years old. He told her that he had panicked, that he had been overwhelmed, that he had never felt for anybody what he felt for her, and that he did not know if he was worthy of a woman like her. And Maya, sister, listen to what Maya did. She did not fall to pieces. She did not immediately forgive everything. She did not say, "Oh baby, it is okay, I understand." She looked at him across that table with eyes full of grace and eyes full of strength. And she said, "Andre, I hear you. And I appreciate you finally telling me the truth. But I need you to understand something. I am not the woman you disappear on. I am not the woman you go silent on for 3 weeks and then come back to like nothing happened. If we are going to do this, we are going to do this with honesty. And when you get scared next time, and you will, you are going to have to find the courage to tell me you are scared instead of vanishing, because I can love you through fear. I cannot love you through silence. You hear that, ladies? You hear the power in that? That is a woman who has done her work. That is a woman who understands his psychology, but is not sacrificing her standards to accommodate it. That is a woman who says, "I see you. I have compassion for you. And I still require you to show up like a man." And Andre, do you know what he did? He cried. He cried right there in that coffee shop, because for the first time in his life, a woman had held both truths at once. She had held the truth of his fear, and she had held the truth of her own worth. And he did not have to choose between them. Today, Maya and Andre have been married for 11 years. They have 2 beautiful children. And Andre tells the story of that afternoon in the coffee shop every chance he gets, because that was the moment his life changed. That was the moment he became a man. That was the moment a woman loved him enough to require more from him than his own daddy ever did. And I am telling you that story, sister, because I want you to understand what is possible. I want you to understand that when a man who loves you goes silent, the story is not over. The story is just beginning. And how you show up in the middle chapters is going to determine the ending. Now let me tell you about another woman, because I want you to see both sides of this. Let me tell you about Rachel. Rachel was 31, gorgeous, successful, a whole vibe. She met a man named Terrence. And Terrence had the smile. Terrence had the charm. Terrence had the whole package on the outside. For 2 months, it was fireworks. And then Terrence went quiet. Sound familiar? A week of nothing. Then a random text. Then more silence. Then a booty call at midnight that she said no to. Then silence again. Then flowers. Then silence. Then a big elaborate apology. Then silence. And Rachel, God bless her, Rachel wanted to believe he was just scared. Rachel wanted to believe he loved her too much. Rachel had been listening to some of the same conversations you and I are having right now. And she had convinced herself that Terrence was just in his cave, working through his feelings. Well, sister, Terrence was not in a cave. Terrence was in the streets. Terrence had 3 other women he was talking to. Terrence was not scared. Terrence was strategic. And Rachel, in her desire to be patient, in her desire to be understanding, in her desire to give a good man the space he needed, ended up giving a not-so-good man access to her heart, her time, her body, and her peace for 2 years longer than she should have. That is why I am telling you, know the difference. That is why I am telling you, watch how he returns. That is why I am telling you, do not confuse your compassion with a lack of standards. Because a man who loves you and is scared will eventually do the work. He will come to you with the truth. He will show up with intention. He will make it right. A man who does not love you will just keep running the same play. Silence, apology, silence, apology, silence, apology, until you are so exhausted you cannot tell up from down anymore. Do not be Rachel. Do not spend 2 years of your life waiting for a man who is not scared. He is just selfish. Do not confuse a game player with a wounded warrior. There is a difference, and once you learn to see that difference, you will never be fooled again. So how do you tell? Let me give you the checklist, because I want you walking out of this conversation with practical wisdom, not just pretty words. A man who loves you and is in his cave, he still in some small way keeps the connection alive. He might send you one text every few days. He might respond to your messages even if slowly. He is not completely blocking you out of his life. He is just processing. A man who is playing you, he goes completely dark. And then when it suits him, when he needs something, when he is bored, when he has been rejected by somebody else, he pops back up. And he pops back up without accountability. He pops back up asking to see you tonight at 10 p.m. at his place. He pops back up with charm but no substance. That is the tell, sister. That is how you know. The scared man keeps a thread. The selfish man cuts the thread and then tries to tie it back together when he wants something. A man who loves you and is in his cave, when you do talk to him, even briefly, he asks about you. He wants to know how you have been. He remembers what you told him last week. He is still paying attention, even at a distance. A man who is playing you, when you do talk to him, he only talks about himself. He only talks about his stress, his job, his life, his needs. You are just an audience to him. You are not a person to him. And you feel that, do you not? You feel that in your bones. You feel that a hollow feeling after every conversation, like you gave a lot and received very little. Trust that feeling, baby. That feeling is your spirit trying to tell you something your mind does not want to accept. A man who loves you and is in his cave, when he comes back different. He comes back different. He comes back changed. He comes back with a plan. He comes back saying things like, I have been thinking a lot about us. I have been thinking a lot about what I want. I have been thinking a lot about what I want. I have been thinking a lot about the kind of man I want to be for you. A man who is playing you, when he comes back exactly the same. Same charm, same excuses, same lack of a plan. Nothing has changed. Nothing will change. And if you settle for it, 6 months from now, you will be having the same conversation with him, feeling the same feelings, crying the same tears. Do not do it. 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 Now, I know I have been hard on you today. I know I have said some things that hurt, but I am hard on you because I love you. I am hard on you because I have seen too many good women waste too many good years on men who did not deserve them, all because they could not tell the difference between real love and a good performance. You deserve real love, not a performance, not a situationship, not a maybe. You deserve a man who, when he goes into his cave, has the courage and the character to come back and tell you what happened. You deserve a man who, when he is scared, does the work to face his fear instead of running from it. You deserve a man who understands that a woman like you does not come around twice. And here is the thing, sister. Here is the thing I want you to write on your heart. You cannot make a man see you. You cannot make a man value you. You cannot make a man do the work, but you can require it. You can require it by being the woman who does not accept less. You can require it by being the woman who does not chase. You can require it by being the woman who has her own life, her own light, her own everything, and does not need a man to complete her. Because here is what men are wired to do. And this is another one of those truths nobody teaches you. Men are wired to chase what they respect. Men are wired to commit to what they are afraid of losing. Men are wired to rise to the level of the woman in front of them. If the woman in front of him is a woman who chases, who begs, who lowers her standards, he will treat her exactly like a woman who does that. If the woman in front of him is a woman who stands in her light, who holds her line, who lives her life, he will treat her like a queen, not because men are cruel, not because men are calculating, but because men at their core respond to what a woman requires of them. Require more, not through nagging, not through ultimatums, not through drama, but through the way you carry yourself, through the way you speak, through the way you refuse to fold every time he tests the boundary, through the quiet confidence of a woman who knows exactly who she is and what she brings to the table. That kind of woman does not have to chase a man. That kind of woman does not have to explain her worth. That kind of woman does not have to fight for a seat at his table. That kind of woman builds her own table, sets it beautifully, and invites in only the people who bring something worthy of sitting there. Are you that woman? Because you can be. You already are deep down. You just have to remember. You just have to stop apologizing for being deep, for being emotional, for being loyal, for being everything the world tries to shame women for being. You are not too much. Say it with me. You are not too much. You have never been too much. You have never been too much. You will never be too much. The man who thinks you are too much is just a man who is too small. The man who tells you to tone it down is just a man who cannot handle your volume. The man who calls your feelings dramatic is just a man who cannot meet you at the depth you were born to swim in. So do not tone yourself down. Do not shrink yourself down. Do not turn down your fire so that a man who is not the sun can feel comfortable in your presence. The right man, the man who loves you the way you deserve to be loved, that man will not be intimidated by your fire. That man will bring wood. Now let me talk to you about what you do while you are waiting, because I know some of you are in the middle of this right now. I know some of you have a man in your life who has gone quiet, and you are trying to figure out what to do. And I want to give you a plan. Not just theory, a plan. The first thing you do is you take a deep breath. Right now. Actually do it. Because your nervous system has been on high alert, and you cannot make wise decisions from a place of panic. You cannot see a situation clearly when your heart is racing and your hands are shaking. So breathe. Ground yourself. Come back to your body. The second thing you do is you write down the facts. Not the feelings, the facts. When did he last text you? What did the message say? What have you actually seen with your own eyes? Not what your brain has made up in the middle of the night. Because your brain, sister, your brain is going to catastrophize. Your brain is going to tell you stories that are 10 times worse than reality. And the discipline of writing down only the facts is going to help you see the situation with clear eyes. The third thing you do is you decide who you are going to be during this season. Not who you are going to be when he comes back. Not who you are going to be when the crisis passes. Who you are going to be right now, today, in the middle of not knowing. Because how you handle this season is going to define you, whether he comes back or not. Are you going to be a woman who falls apart? Or are you going to be a woman who deepens? Are you going to be a woman who becomes small? Or are you going to be a woman who expands? Are you going to be a woman who is defined by whether or not a man calls her back? Or are you going to be a woman whose life is so full, so rich, so beautiful, that a man's presence or absence is a small chapter in a much bigger book? You choose, sister. You choose right now. And I am telling you, if you choose to expand, if you choose to deepen, if you choose to become more of yourself during this season of not knowing, one of two things is going to happen. Either he is going to come back and find a woman more magnetic than the one he left, and the relationship is going to move to a new level, or he is not going to come back, and you are going to be so grown, so whole, so aligned with your own soul that you are ready to receive the man who was actually meant for you. Either way, you win. Do you hear me? Either way, you win. Do you hear me? Either way, you win. And that is the mindset shift I want you to hold on to with both hands. The fourth thing you do is you get around your people, not the people who are going to tell you what you want to hear, not the people who are going to bash him with you and make you feel worse. Get around the wise women in your life, the ones who have been through it, the ones who love you enough to tell you the truth, the ones who will say, "Sister, sit with this for a minute. Do not send that text. Do not make that move. Let us pray on it. Let us think on it. Let us wait and see." Because we as women, we need our counsel. We need our sisters. We need the wisdom of the women who have walked this road before us. Do not try to figure this out alone. Do not sit in your apartment at midnight scrolling through his social media by yourself. Reach out. Call somebody. Get around the women who love you. That is how we survive these seasons. That is how we always have. The fifth thing you do is you tend to your soul, whatever that means to you. If you pray, pray. If you meditate, meditate, meditate. If you write in a journal, write. If you go to church, go. If you walk in nature, walk. Do the thing that reminds you who you are, whose you are, and what you are worth. Because in these moments when a man's silence is trying to shake you, your soul needs anchoring. And no man, no matter how much you love him, can be the anchor of your soul. Only your soul can be the anchor of your soul. And I know, baby, I know this is a lot. I know your heart is heavy right now. I know you came into this conversation looking for answers about him, and I've spent most of my time talking about you. But that is on purpose. Because the truth is, the answer is never about him. The answer is always about you. The answer is always about what kind of woman you are going to be. The answer is always about how you carry yourself when nobody is watching. Because if you become the woman I have been describing today, the woman with her own life, her own light, her own peace, her own everything, one of two things is going to happen. Either the man who loves you is going to come back and find that his cave was not the only place growth was happening, and he is going to fall harder than he ever has. Or he is going to stay in his cave forever, and you are going to be so full, so whole, so complete, that another man, a better man, a man who is not afraid of his own feelings, is going to walk into your life and change everything. Either way, you are covered. Either way, you are protected. Either way, you win. Now let me talk to you about the power move, because I promised you a power move, and I always keep my promises. The power move, sister, is not what you might think it is. The power move is not making him jealous. The power move is not posting pictures of yourself with other men. The power move is not sending a passive-aggressive text at 3 a.m. The power move is not blowing up his phone with rage. The power move is silence, your silence, matching his silence with your own. Not out of pettiness, not out of games, but out of self-respect. Out of the understanding that if a man is not showing up for you, you do not have to lay yourself at his feet begging him to. Now hear me carefully on this, because there is a right way and a wrong way to do this. The wrong way is a cold, punishing silence designed to hurt him, designed to make him feel bad. That is not what we are doing. That is manipulation. And we do not need manipulation. What we are doing is different. What we are doing is a warm, grounded silence, a silence that says, I love you, I am here, but I am not going to chase you, I am not going to beg you. I am not going to prove my worth to you. When you are ready to show up like a man, I will be here. And if you never are, I will still be here. Just not for you. That is a different kind of silence. That is a silence with a spine. That is a silence with a soul. And when a man feels that kind of silence coming from a woman he loves, sister, it does something to him. It shakes something loose in him. Because he expected you to chase. He expected you to fold. He expected you to accept whatever crumbs he was willing to throw. And when you do not, when you match his energy with your own, when you show him that you have a life without him, he starts to feel the weight of what he might be losing. And that weight is often what pulls him out of the cave. That weight is often what makes him do the work he needed to do. That weight is often what turns a scared boy into an accountable man. But here is the caveat, and I want to be honest with you. Sometimes he does not come out of the cave. Sometimes the fear is bigger than the love. Sometimes the wounds are too deep. Sometimes the timing is wrong. And you have to be prepared for that. You have to be prepared to hold your dignity, hold your line, and hold your peace, even if he never comes back. And that is where a lot of women fold. Because they do the power move. They hold the line, they wait, and then he does not come back. And they panic. They think, oh no, I pushed him too far. I should have chased. I should have begged. I should have begged. I should have done more. Sister, no. If he did not come back, it was never real to begin with. If he did not come back, he was not scared. He was gone. If he did not come back, then all your chasing, all your begging, all your bending would have only prolonged the inevitable. It would have delayed the pain, not prevented it. And I know that is hard. I know that is a hard truth. But it is a freeing truth, because it means you can stop performing. You can stop bending. You can stop shrinking. You can stop trying to be palatable to a man who was never going to choose you anyway. And you can start showing up as your full self, knowing that the man who is meant for you will not need to be convinced. The man who is meant for you will not need to be dragged out of a cave. The man who is meant for you will look at you and know from the beginning that you are worth the work. That is what you are waiting for, baby. That is who you are waiting for. Not the man who has to be persuaded to love you, but the man who loves you so plainly, so obviously, so freely that it feels like breathing. Now here is where a lot of women mess up. And I want to warn you because I love you and I do not want you falling into this trap. A lot of women, after hearing a message like this, they do the power move. They hold their line, they stay silent, and then they cave. 2 weeks into the silence, they send the long text. They break their own rule. They dishonor their own boundary. And then they wonder why he still does not respect them. Sister, if you say you are not going to chase, do not chase. If you say you are going to hold your line, hold it. If you say you are going to keep living your life, live it. Because the moment you break your own word to yourself, you lose something more valuable than his attention. You lose your own respect for yourself. And a woman who does not respect herself cannot expect a man to respect her either. So when you make the decision, make the decision. And then keep it. Not because of him. Because of you. Because of the woman you are becoming. Because of the standard you are setting for how you are going to be loved for the rest of your life. And I know some of you are asking, but Steve, what if I miss my chance? What if he was the one and I let him slip away because I did not chase? Baby, listen. If you have to chase him to keep him, he was never yours. If you have to beg him to see you, he was never going to see you. If you have to convince him of your worth, he was never going to value it. That is not a chance you missed. That is a bullet you dodged. The one for you does not need to be chased. The one for you does not need to be chased. The one for you looks at you and knows. The one for you fights his own fears to be with you. The one for you does the work, has the conversations, shows up in the ways that count. The one for you is not going to slip away because you had the audacity to require respect. So stop worrying about what you might lose by holding your standards. Start worrying about what you are definitely going to lose if you do not. Because every time you lower your standards to keep a man, you lose a piece of yourself. And after enough pieces, sister, there is not much left. Do not do that to yourself. Do not give away the beautiful pieces of your soul to a man who is not even sure he wants you. That is a bad trade. That is a losing bet. That is a world that ends in a bathroom mirror at 40 years old, looking at a woman you do not recognize, wondering when you started disappearing. Do not disappear. Do not let a man's silence make you doubt your own light. Do not let a man's confusion make you question your own worth. Do not let a man's fear make you smaller than the woman God made you to be. You are enough. You are exactly enough. You have always been exactly enough. And any man who cannot see that is not the man for you, even if he has all the other things that made your heart flutter. Because a man who cannot see your worth cannot love you the way you deserve to be loved. And a woman who is loved the way she deserves to be loved does not have to wonder. She does not have to guess. She does not have to sit in silence trying to interpret his behavior. She just knows. Because he shows her every day in 1,000 small ways. That is the love you are being prepared for, sister. Not the fireworks, not the drama, not the up and down and back and forth, but the deep, steady, unwavering love of a man who chose you and keeps choosing you day after day without you having to earn it. And here is the thing. Sometimes that man is going to be the same man who went into the cave. Sometimes the season of silence is just the labor pains of a love that is being born. Sometimes that man is going to come back with the truth on his lips and the willingness to grow. And he is going to become the man you were praying for. But sometimes, and I have to be honest with you because I love you, sometimes that man is not going to be the one. Sometimes that man is going to stay in the cave, or he is going to come out and disappoint you again, and the man you were praying for is somebody else entirely, somebody who has not even walked into your life yet. And your job during this season is to become so ready, so aligned, so rooted in your own word, that when he does walk in, you recognize him. You do not miss him because you are still distracted by the last one. You are ready to receive him fully. Let me tell you about one more woman. Let me tell you about Denise. Denise was 38, divorced, had raised 2 babies, mostly on her own, and had been in a dating pool for a couple of years without much success. She met a man named Marcus. Marcus was kind. Marcus was kind. Marcus was steady. Marcus was not flashy. Marcus was not exciting in that heart-pounding way. But Marcus was consistent. For the first 6 months, they saw each other every week. He called her every night. He remembered her birthday. He met her kids and treated them like his own. He was in every way the kind of man women pray for. And then one day, Denise realized something. She realized that she had been comparing Marcus to men who had never treated her right. And by comparison, Marcus felt boring. He was not the fireworks. He was not the roller coaster. He was just steady, kind, present, reliable. And Denise, God bless her, Denise almost broke up with him because she had been so conditioned to chaos that peace felt like nothing was happening. She had been so used to men who went silent and then came back with drama that a man who just showed up every day without any drama felt strange, almost boring. But something in her, thank the Lord, something in her paused. She called her mama. Her mama listened for a long time and then said, "Baby, I am going to ask you something. Are you sure you know the difference between boredom and peace?" And that question stopped Denise in her tracks because she realized she did not know the difference because nobody had ever taught her. because every love story she had ever been told had told her that love was supposed to be dramatic, love was supposed to be intense, love was supposed to be a roller coaster. But real love that lasts, real love that raises babies and buys houses and grows old together, real love is not a roller coaster. Real love is a rocking chair on a porch. Real love is a hand you reach for in the middle of the night without even opening your eyes. Real love is boring in the best possible way because it does not have to keep proving itself with dramatic gestures. It just is. Denise did not break up with Marcus. Denise sat down with Marcus and told him the truth about her fear. And Marcus, being the kind of man he was, held her hand and said, "Denise, I do not need to be exciting. I just need to be yours. And you just need to be mine. Can we agree on that?" They got married 2 years later. Denise says every day is not perfect, but every day is peaceful. And she says the peace is worth more than all the fireworks she ever had before. I am telling you this story, sister, because I want you to be careful. I want you to be careful not to confuse chaos with love. I want you to be careful not to write off a good man just because he does not make your heart pound with anxiety. I want you to be careful when you are looking for a man who loves you, to remember that love does not always look like the movies. Love sometimes looks like a man who shows up every single day and does not make you wonder where he is. So while you are waiting on the man in the cave, while you are practicing your power moves and holding your line and living your life, keep your eyes open. Because sometimes the answer to your prayer is not the man who is confusing you. Sometimes the answer to your prayer is the man who is standing right in front of you, being consistent, being kind, being steady, being everything the caveman has not been able to be. Do not miss the Marcus in your life because you are still tangled up with the Andre. And I am not saying every caveman is bad. Some of them, like the first Andre I told you about, do the work and come back and become extraordinary partners. But some of them do not. And you have to be smart enough, wise enough, self-aware enough to know when to keep waiting and when to let go. Now let me give you some final words of wisdom, because we are coming toward the end of this conversation. And I want you to walk out of here armored, equipped, and ready. The first thing I want you to remember is this: your worth is not up for debate, not by any man, not by any silence, not by any confusion. Your worth was decided the day God put you on this earth, and no man's behavior can add to it or subtract from it. He can appreciate it or fail to appreciate it, but he cannot change it. Your worth is fixed. Your worth is settled. Your worth is not on the table. The second thing I want you to remember is this: his silence is his responsibility, not yours. If he is scared, he needs to say so. If he is confused, he needs to say so. If he is overwhelmed, he needs to say so. It is not your job to interpret his silence for him. It is not your job to be a mind reader. It is not your job to hold both sides of a relationship on your own shoulders. If he cannot communicate, that is a skill he needs to develop. And he needs to develop it before he can be in a real relationship with a real woman. And no amount of your patience is going to develop that skill for him. He has to do it himself. Some men do. Some men do not. Your job is to notice which one you are dealing with and to make your choices accordingly. The third thing I want you to remember is this: you cannot love a man into being ready. If he is not ready, he is not ready. And no amount of your patience, your understanding, your compassion, your sacrifice, your bending over backward is going to make him ready before his time. You will exhaust yourself trying. You will empty yourself trying. And in the end, if he becomes ready, it will be because he did the work himself, not because you dragged him across the finish line. So stop trying to drag men across finish lines. Stop trying to be their therapist, their mama, their savior, their fixer. Be their woman, just their woman. The one who loves them, respects them, holds them accountable, and lets them do their own growing. That is the only role you were meant to play. Anything more than that, and you are stepping into a job that was not yours to take. The fourth thing I want you to remember is this. The right man will not require this level of interpretation. The right man will not have you crying at midnight trying to figure out what his silence means. The right man will not have you asking your girlfriends to analyze his last text message. The right man will not have you writing paragraphs in your notes app that you are afraid to send. The right man will make you feel safe. The right man will make you feel safe. The right man will make you feel chosen. And I know that in this era of ghosting and situationships and dating apps and confusion, it feels like the right man does not exist. It feels like all men are running from real love. It feels like the deck is stacked against you. But sister, the right man is out there. He is being prepared for you right now, just as you are being prepared for him. And the reason so many of us have not met him yet is because we are still tangled up with the wrong ones. We are still giving our time, our energy, our best years to men who were never going to choose us. And as long as we are tangled up with the wrong ones, we cannot fully receive the right one when he comes. So sometimes letting go of a man in a cave is not a loss. Sometimes it is the opening. Sometimes it is the space you needed to create in order for the man God has for you to find his way in. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give your future is closing the door on your past. The fifth thing I want you to remember is this. You will be okay, no matter what happens, whether he comes out of the cave or not, whether the relationship works out or not. Whether the story you thought you were writing turns out to be a different story, you will be okay. You have survived every heartbreak you have ever had. You have gotten through every storm you have ever faced, and you will get through this one too, because you are stronger than you know. You are more resilient than you realize. You are more resourced than you have given yourself credit for. God did not bring you this far to leave you now. And whatever this season is teaching you, it is preparing you for something better. Trust that. Even when you cannot see it, trust that. Now, I want to bring this all home. I want to gather up everything we have talked about today and put it in your hand like a gift. Because I want you to walk away from this conversation different. Not the same woman who started listening. Different. If a man in your life has gone silent, and you have been asking yourself if it is because he does not care, I want you to consider a new possibility. I want you to consider that his silence may be a symptom of something much deeper than lost interest. It may be a symptom of a love that is bigger than he was prepared to hold. It may be a symptom of a man wrestling with his own fears, his own inadequacies, his own past. But whether it is that, or whether it is something else, the answer for you is the same. Stand in your light. Hold your line. Live your life. Live your life. Do not chase. Do not bang. Do not shrink. Do not give up your power in exchange for the illusion of closeness. If he loves you and he is scared, your standing in your light is going to give him something to come home to. If he does not love you and he is playing you, your standing in your light is going to reveal that truth faster, so you can move on and receive what is actually meant for you. Either way, you are covered. Either way, you are covered. Either way, you win. Either way, you are becoming the woman you were always meant to be. You are not too much. You have never been too much. You will never be too much. You will never be too much. You are not asking for too much when you ask for consistency. You are not asking for too much when you ask for communication. You are not asking for too much when you ask for honesty. You are not too deep. You are not too emotional. You are not too demanding. You are exactly enough. And the man for you is going to see that. And he is going to celebrate it, not shrink from it. Stop apologizing for being a woman who feels deeply. Stop apologizing for being a woman who loves hard. Stop apologizing for being a woman who requires more than the bare minimum. Those are not flaws. Those are features. Those are the very things that make you a magnificent woman. And any man who cannot handle them is not diminished by you. He is just not the man for you. So carry yourself like a woman who knows. Carry yourself like a woman who has already been chosen by her creator and does not need to be chosen again by any lesser man to feel valuable. Carry yourself like a woman whose peace is worth more than any man's inconsistency. Carry yourself like a woman who has a life so full, so beautiful, so complete, that a man's silence is simply a small pause in a much larger symphony. Because that woman, sister, that woman is the one men cannot stop thinking about. That woman is the one who makes them come out of the cave. That woman is the one whose absence feels like a weight they cannot carry. That woman is the one who, whether or not this particular man returns, is going to be loved in the way she has always deserved by a man who is worthy of her. Be that woman every day, not for him, for you, and watch what happens. I love you, sister. I mean that with my whole heart. I love you, and I want more for you than you have been settling for. I love you, and I need you to require more from the men who ask to walk into your life. I love you, and I need you to remember when the silence comes and the doubt creeps in that his behavior is not the measure of your worth. It never was. It never will be. You are the daughter of a creator who does not make mistakes. You were made deliberately, purposefully, magnificently. And nothing, not a silent phone, not a confused man, not a season of not knowing can change that. So if this has hit your spirit today, if any part of what I have said has landed somewhere deep in you, I want you to do two things. Number one, I want you to take a breath and let yourself feel it. Do not rush past this. Sit with the truth. Let it settle. Let it become part of you. Number two, I want you to think of another woman in your life who needs to hear this. Because somewhere out there, there is a sister sitting in her car, staring at a phone that is not ringing, feeling like she is losing her mind. And a message like this in her hands could change her whole week, could change her whole year, could change her whole life. So share it, pass it on. Sometimes the best thing we can do for our sisters is say, here, this is for you. You are not crazy. You are not alone. You are loved. And to the sister listening to my voice right now, one more time before I let you go, I need you to hear me. You are not too much. You have never been too much. You will never be too much. You are exactly enough. You are exactly enough. You are exactly enough. Say it until you believe it. Say it until it becomes the ground you stand on. Say it until no man's silence can shake you. Because sister, when you know who you are, when you really know, no man's silence can silence you. No man's confusion can confuse you. No man's fear can make you afraid. You are anchored. You are rooted. You are ready. And whether that man comes out of his cave or not, whether he is the one or he is just a lesson, you are going to be okay. You are going to be more than okay. You are going to be extraordinary because you always were. Now go on, baby. Go live your life. Go pour into yourself. Go remember who you are. And the next time the silence comes, do not panic. Just smile. Just breathe. Just stand in your light and trust that the right thing at the right time with the right person is on its way to you. Because it is. It always is. And you are ready. I love you. Now go be great.